Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this really warm and chunky hat for the winter, so keep on watching. Alright guys, so for this tutorial you're going to need a chunky yarn. I'm using the Hue Me by Lion Brand yarn. You're also going to need a 7mm crochet hook, a yarn needle, some scissors, a tape measure, and a pom-pom. That one is optional. So let's get started. Okay, so here I made 10 chains, and that is going to be the length of our brim, which is about 3 inches tall. And I'm going to start by slip stitching on the second chain from our hook. And I'm just going to continue doing that all the way across, and you should have a total of 9 stitches at the end of this row. Okay, so now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work, and then we are going to be working in the back loops only. So you can see this is the front right here. Do not make a stitch there. Turn your work and make a slip stitch in the back loop only of the previous row, so right there. And we're going to continue doing that all the way across. We are just going to slip stitch in the back loop only of every stitch. And I also have a previous tutorial on how to make ribbing, and it's pretty much the same as this, so I will link it right at the top if you want to check that out. And you can come back to this video, or you can continue watching this video as well. And once you have completed that second row, we're just going to be repeating that second row all over again until our band measures a total of 19 inches long. And this will be for a adult hat. And this ribbing is pretty stretchy, so that is why I made it 19 inches long. So go ahead and continue making your ribbing, and come back when your band measures 19 inches long, and then we can continue with the body of our hat. Alright guys, so here I have my band ready to go, and it should measure 19 inches long, and that is for a adult size hat. So now we are going to fold our band in half, and then we are going to slip stitch it together to close it. And this is how I like to close this hat. With my hook, I'm going to grab the first stitch here that where I ended my last row, and I'm going to slip stitch, and I'm only grabbing the back of the stitch. I'm not completely going through both of the loops. I'm just grabbing the back here of this stitch right here, and then the back of the other one, and that just makes the brim, the closing of the brim, it makes it less noticeable. I found that the seam is less noticeable. You could also stitch it with a whip stitch, but I found that this is easier method for me. But if you have another method that you prefer, go ahead and do that to close the brim of your hat. Don't forget to do this for every stitch across. Here I'm making my last stitch of um, the row, and as you can see, the seam here looks a lot cleaner, and this is how it looks when you flip it over. All right, so now we're going to start with the body of our hat, and I'm going to chain one, and that chain one does count as a stitch. And now in every ridge here, I'm going to place one single crochet. So every ridge here that you see on your band, I'm going to be making one single crochet, and you're basically going to repeat that all the way around until you reach the other side. So make one single crochet in every ridge around. And at the end, I had a total of 41 single crochets around my band. So right here is the last stitch that I made, or the last single crochet that I made. And right here is the chain one that I did at the beginning of the round. And I'm just going to make my first extended single crochet for my next round. And from now on, we are going to be making stitches in continuous rounds, meaning that we are not going to be chaining one at the end of the row or round, I mean. So go ahead and make an extended single crochet in that chain one, and if you don't know how to make it yet, I will link the video tutorial that I made for this stitch, and it's basically a modified single crochet, and it's pretty easy to do. So if you don't know yet, go and check that video out. So yeah, and if you do, just continue making one extended single crochet all the way around the band in continuous rounds, and remember to place a stitch marker at the beginning of your round so you know how many rounds you have. So here I'm going to place my stitch marker that I forgot to do at the beginning of the round, but you should always place your stitch marker at the beginning of each round. Alright guys, so continue doing that all the way around until you reach that stitch marker, and then repeat the same process all over again. So this hat is going to be made of just extended single crochets all the way around until your hat measures a total of 11 inches tall, including the brim. So keep repeating that row that we just did in continuous rounds, making an extended single crochet in every stitch, and I will see you back to close it. Alright, so this is how your hat should look like when you finish all your rounds with extended single crochets. And remember, it has to measure 11 inches tall, including the brim. So now we are just going to close the top of our hat, and we are almost done, you guys. And don't worry if you have a hole right there, because we are going to fold our brim over when we finish, and that's not going to be noticeable at all. So here I'm done with my last stitch, and I'm just going to take off my stitch marker here, and then I'm just going to slip stitch in that same stitch as where I took off the stitch marker and I'm going to tie off my my work. And I have just about enough yarn for me to close the top of my hat. With one skein of the Hue and Me, I had enough for one adult hat. To close the top of our hat, we're going to insert our yarn into our needle, and then we're just going to weave in and out of every stitch of the top of our hat. And we're going to continue doing that all the way around, going in and out of every stitch. So here I'm now back to where I started, and I'm just going to grab the yarn and I'm going to pull that strand, and that's going to close the top of our hat. And make sure to do it really tight so there's no open spaces at the very top. So here I just pulled as tight as I could, and there was still a little hole on the top of my hat, so I just sewed it with my yarn needle, and it was good to go. Now I'm just gonna grab my pom-pom and I'm going to place it on the top of my hat, and that's going to hide any seaming that I did. But you could always leave it without a pom-pom if that's the look that you are going for. And then the brim on the bottom, I'm going to fold it like so. And then I'm just going to weave in the end that I have hanging right here. And once I put my palm, it's going to be ready to go. And here I'm just going to show you real quick how I attach my pom-pom. And I just grabbed the two strands that the pom-pom has, and I grab my yarn needle and then I insert it through the top of the hat. And once I have both of them inserted, I will just tie a knot and secure the pom. Alright friends, so here's my finished hat, and here's the other one I made without the pom-pom. So you can either choose to leave it with a pom or without. So yeah guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really enjoyed making it for you guys, and don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you on my next tutorial. Bye.